Hello, Geneva, and welcome to Officially Speaking. I'm your host, Kevin Starr. Geneva always has an eye on the future. Each year, our staff and elected officials set goals as part of a strategic plan. And to help us carry out those objectives, we have a dedicated group of volunteers called the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee. Today, we're joined by SPAC Chairman Mark Brault. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
For our viewers at home, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've lived in Geneva now for about 7 years now, and really fell in love with the city like a lot of people, with the charm and the historic nature of it, and decided that I wanted to keep it that way. I was really impressed at how many people were involved in the community and how concerned they were about it, and I wanted to be a part of that. So, yeah.
And for those that may be not familiar with the SPAC committee, can you explain a little bit about your role and what your group does?
So SPAC is an acronym for the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee, and as the name kind of implies, we are an advisory committee relative to the strategic plan. The strategic plan was put in place almost 20 years ago, and at that point in the city, the vision was to make sure this was a living document, and that it wasn't just a plan that sat on the shelf, but then there were amendments to it and prioritizations and review. So the SPAC committee was formed to be a vehicle to encourage the development of the plan and mesh both the community voice along with elected and city officials, all together working with the plan to make sure that what happened 20 years ago is relevant today.
And how can residents participate in this planning process with the city?
So what we do is residents like ourselves, we're all volunteers. It's a 9-member committee made up of all, like I said, all volunteers from all over the city that serve 3-year terms. So we actively encourage people to sign up for the committee when there are open tables, positions, which there aren't right now, but there will be at some point as people rotate out. Our meetings are open meetings, so we encourage any and all that want to be a part of it can. We welcome the opportunity to have that discussion. Also, we have a town hall meeting in the fall whereby we have a number of people go through the whole planning process. We set out all the goals, much the way that the city staff does, and encourage people to attend and comment.
And why is the town hall meeting so crucial to the planning process?
That's a great question, because what happens for us, that's a way for us in the strategic committee, planning committee, to hear everybody's voice. And in many cases, what we've found is that what we may have thought was important as a group, and we've been spending most of the year on it, we find that other people think that there are different priorities. And so taking all of that feedback in and having the citizens understand what the city's trying to do with the goals and hearing that voice gives us the ability to then take that feedback to the elected officials and the city planners and say, this is what the people are saying, and this is what they think is a priority, and try to incorporate that into this living document. So in the process, after we've gotten that feedback from the citizens, my role as the chair for the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee is to bring that feedback to the planning session held once a year. And why that's so critical is that's when the elected officials and the city government sits down and prioritizes every one of their goals, because there is a finite number of dollars we have. And there's a lot of things that want to get accomplished, but like everything, we have to have a budget and we have to know what's important. And with that feedback, we can sit down and go through with all the elected members, and we can assign the amount of importance to each goal, and they vote on it. So how it works is, once the goals are all assigned and laid out all the way across the room, everybody gets to vote. Everybody has a vote on what they think is important. So what we're doing is trying to enlighten all of the members as to what all the work the committee has done, all the feedback from the citizens, and making sure that when they're casting their vote, that they're doing so with the knowledge and of what other people, the citizens in particular, have said.
Can you give us some examples of what some of the big picture visions are of the strategic plan and how those play out?
Sure. So one example would be the East Side Corridor plan, where we've already got kind of a plan in place, and the idea is to look at the heart of the city, both the East Side, the West Side, the downtown master plan, and looking at the East Side, what is it going to take for us to actually put that into place? So it's one thing to talk about it. We got a plan, but now we have to do things. For example, you got to buy property. So there's many things the city doesn't have control over if they don't own the property. So if we want to encourage development, when it's landscaping, it's businesses, we have to have some control over that. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's something that we do next year, next month, but it has to be in our long-range goals so that if a piece of property became available, that we knew that it would fit into the plan, and of course if we had the money to make that happen. So having that plan out there allows us, when the opportunity arises, to take action. That would be one really good example. Also with the downtown master plan, working with existing plans that are already in place and helping implement them. So through the citizens, through the elected officials, making sure we're putting action behind the plan. And also then looking forward with the plan that as it evolves, what else can be done? So it's really a never-ending process in a way, that many of these plans are go on for a long time, and that's why we look out 15, 20, 25 years so that we can really kind of take advantage of that time as best as possible.
And for residents that are interested in learning more about this plan, where could they find it?
You can find a copy of it on the city's website underneath where our Strategic Plan Advisory Committee is. You can also find there our website with our contact information, email addresses. Our agendas are all posted there as well. And generally our vision statements are also all on the same one nice, neat, redone website.
SPAC obviously has their own meetings and they help set the vision for the city, but there's also several subcommittees that are part of SPAC. Can you explain to our viewers what these groups do for us?
Yes, so we have currently have 3 subcommittees. And as we developed our plan, we realized that it's more than just the Strategic Planning Committee, but there are various subgroups that have expertise in certain areas. One, for example, would be the Natural Resources Committee. They do a lot of great work under the direction of Jay Womack with Earth Day, with the rain barrels, with their now famous Wine, Cheese, and Trees event. People realize when they get involved with emerald ash borer, the reforestation, the cleaning up of forest preserves, and when you tie that back into the master plan with Geneva and how we want this city to look like and what the main attractions are things like that, the trees, the forest preserves, etc. And they play an integral role in helping us achieve a lot of what's in our plan.
And what about the International Cultural Exchange Committee?
Also a great committee with Cynthia Albright. They do a lot of work as we look to see ourselves as an international city. We've reached out to partner cities in Sweden and look at our heritage. As we look back at Geneva, and our heritage is well over 100 years now, and where did we come from, and who are we at, the architecture, the names of the streets, our festivals. It's all part of our city, and what they do is kind of keep that alive. And it's a great part of the plan as well, to bring that focus.
And I believe the last subcommittee is, I think, a newer committee, but it's the Student Government Committee. What's their role in our organization?
Right. Purnita Sarangamani is our student rep. We're really excited about this student government subcommittee. Again, it brings a really fresh perspective to the city. So it's not everybody is certain age, just like our group isn't all a certain age or from a certain place in the city. The student government brings a really interesting perspective on all events, the budgeting process, things that are going on in the city, the planning process, what are young people thinking. And I think the other thing that we're excited about with is the civics side of it. That in many cases people have lost touch of what the city government actually is and does and what they are and aren't responsible for. And it's started us to consider, well, how are we going to communicate that message? How do we get that message out? And the student government's been a great way to reach out to young people, to get them involved in government, even if they aren't going to run for elected office, but simply understanding what it is that the city does. And we're finding that now, more than ever, young people really do want to get involved. And this is a great way for them to get involved and make a difference in their own community.
Now, if residents were interested in attending your meetings, can you tell us when does the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee meet and where can they find more information about your group?
Yeah, so we meet on the third Wednesday of every month at 6 o'clock right here at City Hall. As we said earlier, it is open to the public, and occasionally we do have people that come by. If you are looking to find more information, it is on the city website under the boards and committees. The Strategic Plan Advisory Committee is there. All of our contact information, email, website, phone numbers, etc., are all there, along with content and agendas for every meeting that's published in advance for any meeting we have.
And also, that's where the subcommittees are there too, right underneath the SPAC.
All the subcommittees have their under our website, and the subcommittees under SPAC are there as well. Absolutely.
That is all the time we have for Officially Speaking today. We'd like to thank Mark Brault for his time and insight into the Strategic Plan Advisory Committee.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
We also thank you for watching. We hope you tune in again next month to get the official word from your elected and appointed officials.